Mum and Son on the Money podcast with Lorraine and Travus from Happy Days Accountants.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. It's great to be joined in the studio by Lorraine and Travus from Happy Days Accounting. Hello, guys.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. How's it doing? It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I'm very excited to find out all about you guys because you're not the same as every other accountant, and what you do is a little bit different. And I think this podcast is going to reveal what makes the difference, why accountants are not all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think early doors we push to try and be different, but naturally just who we are kind of shone through to be that kind of different practice. And I think the accountancy space is changing. We've got to be different these days. Like you say, you can't just be your kind of suited and booted accountant turning up anymore, because people don't resonate with that anymore and people don't want that service. People want someone who they can kind of have a chat with, and they kind of invite around for a coffee on a Friday, have a chat about your accounts, and then you have a chat about life as well, and you kind of become that friend to people. So yeah, I think we pride ourselves in trying to be quite different.
I like that idea because, you're going to spend a lot of time working with your accountant. It needs to be somebody that you trust and you get to know them and you like them, and it's making them feel like they're part of your team as well. So it's almost like employing a member of staff, isn't it? Choosing the right accountants. They've got to gel with the rest of your team.
It works both ways because we need to enjoy working with them as much as they enjoy working with you. If you don't enjoy working with them, you won't get the best either way out of people. And we are part of their team. Some of the businesses, we are their finance manager or their finance director. We are heavily involved in their business, not just the external accountant.
Well, I always say I think it was easier for me to meet my wife than it would be for people to find an accountant. It's such a big decision. People just kind of go on Google these days and find an accountant, and then either get lucky and find someone that's good, or go through a chain of just having a huge headache with their business because they found someone that didn't match their energy, their business, they didn't understand. And I think it's such an important thing for people to actually think about that decision of getting an accountant, to make sure the person that you're working with is someone that you can work with and someone that you kind of become friends with, I guess.
And how does your wife feel about that? The fact that you think she was easier to find than an accountant?
We won't tell that to her. I'm sure I'll have some words when this podcast goes up. But
she might be like, "Hang on a minute, Trav. That's not how it was." So.
It's a compliment. It's she was really easy to get on with and really easy to find, and we just matched. But
you just gelled. So something that we need to mention is that you two, you've known Lorraine your whole life, haven't you?
Unfortunately, so.
What is it? How many years and days? Right to the point. From the minute that you came, obviously, because I'm his mother and he's my son, and and it's really lovely. A
dynamic that often doesn't work for people, but for us just works well. We've always had a good relationship, and I think a couple of years ago when we started working together, we still have a great work-life balance between us. And
so we don't talk working when we're out with our family, and that we switch over, and that we made a vow to do that quite early on, didn't we? Not to talk work when we go.
It's part of what our business is based on, to be honest. I mean, we are huge on work-life balance. I mean, like, I've just become a father, and being able to today, hopefully, maybe knock off a little bit early to go and see her before she has a bath and bed, like little things like that. I mean, no amount of money can ever take that away. So I think, it just works well with both of us having that sort of ethic. It just gels, and we've clicked from the get-go, haven't we, with work.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the fatherhood. It's a long journey. Yeah. It doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, I'm in that.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your background. So what you bring to the table in terms of your business experience. And Lorraine, you started out doing marble refurbishing.
Actually, in this shopping centre, many years ago, we refurbished the marble flooring in the Milton Keynes shopping centre. That was around the time Travus was born. So I moved to Milton Keynes in 1987, and I'd been in finance prior to that, and I came here and fell into the business. I know what it's like for a business owner, where you've got no money and you've got all these issues that come around it and all these heads you have to have when you're running a business. That was for 12 years. And then Travus came along, and I changed my roles then. I worked in preschools, childminding, gymnastics coaching and things like that, because I wanted to be there for him. And then he became about sort of 8, 9, 10, growing up, and I went back into finance again, and that's where my charity and experience came from. So I started working in galleries and theatres, so into a finance manager role, and then eventually into finance director role. Yeah, so that's where my experience come. And then I had a suspected heart attack in 2019, and I was finance director but HR director as well, and I think that's part and parcel of this. And it turned out to be a panic attack because of the stress I was under. You know, driving long hours, working, a lot of stress. And at that point, I realised I didn't want that stress in my life. So we took a breather, and I just sort of sat back for a while. And then somebody said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Don't know." He said, "Would you like to help somebody with their accounts?" So I said, "Okay then." So I helped them. They recommended somebody else, and then some other companies I've worked for. Eventually, by January 2020, I was full-time working, and that's how my company came about. I'd had plans to go travelling, so I didn't develop the business in any way. So from 22 to 23, I went travelling for a year, and then when I come back, straight away, "Can you help here? Can you do this?" And that's where I am now. My business, ironically, things happen for a reason, because Travus is now trained and on board, which wasn't the purpose at the time of doing it.
But it all kind of comes together, and that's great that you can offer that C-level experience to businesses, because you've been there, and now obviously taking a little step back to have a life that's a bit less stressful and kind of get that work-life balance right.
I also feel some of the businesses, charities and small business, cannot afford that level of finance personnel. So I give a bit more than just your accountancy. And I felt like I wanted to give that to smaller businesses. You know, they could have all of that just for a small amount and have to employ somebody. And that I really enjoy giving back to people. Probably more. I give more than what I charge for, I think, but it's just worth it because I want to help the businesses grow. At the point that they grow, they need that extra help and tuition and support and guidance. That now you've got to work out your strategic plan, what your business plan is going forward. And we do a lot of that, working out, right, how's your business, where's it going to be where in a few years' time, building a plan and a financial plan. And then the same with other organisations. So I've had this reputation that all the organisation I've gone in, I've revamped their financial systems.
We never like an easy job, do we? We
No.
always seem to go into a company which is in distress in some way, whether that be financial or process-wise, and then as soon as it gets better and the job gets easier, that's when we move on to the next one, it seems.
It sort of appeared to me I got headhunted to go somewhere else. Just when the life got easy, I'd get headhunted, and then I'll be on to another one to sort them out. Really.
But do you find that that's often the case, that businesses will come to you because they've had a bad experience with their previous accountants, or they've been trying to do it themselves and they've just got this out of control spreadsheet and bag of receipts, and they can't cope with that anymore, and it's not in a good place at that moment?
It's pretty much everyone. I think that's the point where it's very rare that someone will start a business and go, right, I need an accountant, and get it right from the get-go. What people don't realise is that for the sake of, you know, a small expense, maybe a couple of hours here and there, early doors, to get things set up correctly in the first place, you're then being met with a huge expense later down the line where, you know, fixing historic errors takes a lot more time and effort and experience than it does just to get things done right the first time. So yeah, I think that's...
Gives you a big headache as well.
Yeah. Well, it gives you enough of a headache when it's your own business and you can remember what you did, or you're trying to rack your brains and go, why did I move money from that account to that account? And what did I buy from that company? And what was this? And I wish I hadn't bought that on my personal account. I never claimed that back. And what am I going to do now? And oh no, and how much did I spend on my car? And when it's somebody else
ringing bells in your head.
Oh gosh, no, I've been there. But when it's somebody else's business and you haven't got a clue. So unless they can remember, you're just...
We only know what they tell us, basically.
Yeah. And that knowledge kind of comes as well. I mean, again, I kind of touched on it earlier, the accountancy space is changing with what accountants are offering, in that they're not just your year-end accounts anymore. So what we find is, like, say, you get to that end of the year and it's a mess and you've got to pay your accountant to fix it. If you engage them early, you know, likelihood is they might be like us, charging retainers, where you get a manageable monthly fee for the stuff you need, whether that be business or personal. It might be that you just have an idea of what you're going to spend at the end of the year. But the joy of signing up early is, one, you got that control of knowing what's coming down the line, but 9 times out of 10 they're happy to answer the phone to you. I mean, I know we are. We always say, as soon as you get on board, if you've got a question about, I mean, like we primarily obviously use Xero, we're advisors on Xero. If you've got a question or you want to know how to do something, just pick up the phone and ask us, because I'd much rather have a 5-minute conversation with you now and teach you how to do something properly than wait a year and spend 3 hours, 4 hours, however long, fixing your issues when you could have just called me.
It doesn't matter what it is. It might be simple to us, but it's not to you, and we're just quite happy to help you through and simplify it and take that weight off of your mind. You know?
Yeah, I do feel bad asking accountants to sort out the mess that I've made of my account sometimes. I mean, surely you don't actually enjoy doing tax returns, or is it something? Is it a secret that accountants actually really enjoy sorting things out?
Yes and no. It's a mix of both. If it's
a big bill at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, if you come to us with a box of crumpled, faded receipts and drop that on our desk to sieve through and figure it all out and then tell you how much tax you're at the end, no, we're not big fans of it, are we? But if you've heeded, like, taken our advice,
just cry in the background.
Yeah, a little bit. if you've taken some advice though, and you've got it all in order, you've done what you need to do with your accounts, and it's, you know, we're kind of more of an advisor on the tax side and checking the information that you've recorded, and we get to tell you that there's a refund at the end of the year.
That is the perk of the job, but that's very limited, isn't it? But
yeah.
If it's generally straightforward, it's a compliance job, isn't it? And they're not relatively exciting. We all know that, those sort of work. But sometimes, you know, and you have to dish out the deal of how much tax they've got to pay. That's when it's hard, and we try and teach people to put it away earlier and put it in an interest account to get interest on it, rather than wait till the end and get this big bill. But if they get a refund, it's really, really nice. That's the good part of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, it is number crunching, and we do all of that. And I would say it is like 100% enjoyable compared to a lot of the other work we do.
There is a bit of a dopamine hit at the end of the year when you click submit on your last tax return and you're kind of done with that. There's a nice little dopamine hit there.
And I think now that they're changing the rules, aren't they, with VAT and things, so that it's not a once a year thing, that you're going to have to do this quarterly moving forward, and it is going to require everyone to be on top of their finances all the time, and that might be a positive thing.
We're going into like Baker Tax Digital, aren't we? Which is
Yeah.
a whole probably podcast on its own. But, you know, they have to do quarterly returns, and they have to have a financial software. They can't just have their receipts, and they can't submit their returns on their own, because from the 31st of March next year, they're closing down that
The online portal.
portal to submit your returns. So you need financial software, which means you need an accountant. So
The big changes at the minute, I mean, we're in 2025, there's no reason to have a crumpled box of receipts anymore, and I think MTD and all these changes that are coming are just a natural progression in the digital age we live in. I mean, it just makes your life easier. I mean, rather than waiting to the end of the year, like you say, getting all your receipts together and totting it all up and doing your submission, this forces you to be more prepared to do that regular kind of check-in and bookkeeping. Yeah, I think as accountants we're secretly smiling inside, because it's going to make our life so much easier, I think.
anything that makes our life easier, we're up for, aren't we?
It also helps you prepare for tax as well. If you've got a report there that says your kind of profit for the quarter, rather than coming to the end of the year and being told you got this great whopping tax bill, you can see at quarter one, right, my estimated tax so far is X amount, let's put that in a savings account, and then Q2, same thing, Q3, same thing, and by the time Q4 comes around, you've not got this massive debt hanging over you, and you've kind of been prepping for it a little bit. It's easier to prep for it throughout the year then. Because I know especially a lot of accountants that we've dealt with don't necessarily do regular check-ins for clients to kind of talk them through their tax liabilities, so it's going to help those people massively.
I think that's one of the gripes people have about accountants, that they only hear from them at the time that a return's due, and they're chasing you up to get everything up to date, and you never hear from them for the rest of the year. But I think one of the things that makes you guys different is that ongoing support and communication.
We're not just for Christmas.
The client said to me, I said, we must meet up in the summer sometime. And she said something, and I said, oh yeah, because you're not, an accountant's not just for Christmas. She comes to me every October, November, December time.
I think a lot of people get their bookkeeping done at Christmas because it's a time where you don't have to go to work, and you can just sit down, stick the kids in front of the telly and just crack on with it, and there's less distractions because the phone's not ringing and stuff. I get so much work done at Christmas.
Well, there's that looming deadline of the 31st of January, isn't there? And it's it's getting to that panic point at that point, which is often when we get a frantic call from a new inquiry going, I've got to get my tax return done. Can we get it done quickly?
Try and get all of those done early, because imagine in January you have so many come to you at that point. You've only got so much capacity to complete that deadline, and it's dangerous.
So if people are listening to this who are maybe self-employed and they need some help with their self-assessments towards the end of the year, and we're getting towards, I mean, Christmas decorations are starting to go up now, so it is looming. What should people do? Can they get in touch with you? How do you like the information to be sent over to you?
I mean, reach out as soon as possible. You can't reach out to an accountant too early. I mean, we've had discussions with people in the past where they've gone, I've not actually set up my business yet, but I want to get everything done right. And they've reached out before they've started a business. So especially if you've already got a business, reach out straight away. I mean, there's no cost to pick up the phone and put in an inquiry and at least learn a little bit about what's required from you, what we can help you with, things like that. And I mean, with the changes, you may as well get on board sooner rather than later. So get set up with Xero or any of the other cloud accounting softwares.
We try and encourage them to go to Xero because it's time saving. So when they bring a spreadsheet, it's quite a lot of our time to do it. So it might be more costly, but if they go the other route with a Xero and a monthly subscription, they will have less worry, basically, and less time for us with our workload. So we would encourage it. We won't turn it away. I had a client come, I'm behind my tax returns and blah, blah, blah. I've got all these receipts. I've sorted them out in boxes and everything. So, you're like, deal with all these aged receipts. And so what I said, I produced a spreadsheet. Enter that in there and enter that in there and sort all your receipts out. Then I'll have, and I developed it so it would give us the information we wanted at the end of the day.
Do you ever get people come up to you and they've got those old dusty books with like fountain pen numbers all written in them? And
a client of mine had bought another company, and he contacted me and asked me to look into their monthly accounts. And I thought it looked straightforward, fine. And then when I got more into it, I realised they were still using the old cathedral cash books that we haven't used since the 1980s,
Before I was born.
Yep. They had loads of cash books. Bearing in mind, this is a company that's been running so the staff have been there over 20 years.
Wow.
They're still using cash books. They're using a software, but they're duplicating everything they do. And I was just in shock because I said to them, hey, how much do you want me to bring them into the 20th century? Do you want me to break it gently or just go for it? So we've gone for it. So I've totally revamped. I've introduced a software system. I've done a lot of work with them recently.
You can imagine the shock as well when you go out the back and there was a room bigger than our office filled with old finance documents that they hadn't, their old archives. And
so we've talked a little bit about Lorraine's background. We've heard about your marbling heritage, but we haven't really learnt very much about Travus. So I think it's time for us to uncover the history, what maketh the man, and how you got to where you are now, and your journey through life has taken you to Canada.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack. I've done quite a lot in a short career, it seems. Going way back, I started as an engineer, working on sort of fighter jets and military operations stuff. After about 5 or 6 years in that, I decided it wasn't really for me. I didn't really get on with the career. So yeah, I disappeared off to play in the snow for 3 years. I went to a little place called Fernie in the Canadian Rockies.
Wow.
And kind of trained and worked as a snowboard and ski instructor for 3 years, which you might wonder how I've ended up as an accountant and what went wrong after that. Well, to cut it short, it was COVID. Straight into lockdown and kind of didn't know what to do with myself. And I felt like after being in engineering and realising maybe not for me, and then going to a job that was completely a passion of mine and absolutely loved it, I thought I can't go back to engineering. Like there was points it got me pretty down working in engineering.
Yeah.
So I did go back temporarily, but then when I got back with the additional time we got from COVID, which there was a positive side to it, I retrained, self-taught as some finance qualifications with the AAT. and then luckily kind of found myself into a role as someone's finance manager as they kind of continued my studies in accountancy. Mid last year, we sort of decided together that obviously Lorraine had Happy Days as a vessel to work for a variety of people, that we decided it was time that I come on board to help build it into an actual kind of viable business.
It's really nice. I really enjoy working with them. You know, you've been a lone ranger a lot of the time, and it's nice to discuss things, understand, have somebody sit there that just speaks your language, and the fact that we work so well together. It's really lovely. I really enjoy it, and things happen for a reason, don't they? So, you know, the business I set up, and here we are. I wouldn't have thought it a few years back. So
yeah, that's brilliant. I'm so glad that you managed to get something positive out of lockdown and developing that skill that you wouldn't have had otherwise. No,
I mean, I think it's a big thing. I've always looked really thankful on Canada going there. I mean, obviously it sucked when I had to come home, but arguably it kind of changed my life in the way that it changed the mentality of just, you know, I was in the rat race with engineering, kind of just going day in, day out, not enjoying it. And then it kind of gave me that motivation to go, well, hold up. We can enjoy what we're doing here. We can do something with our lives a little bit. And I kind of have an ode to that. I mean, my new daughter's, my 5-month-old daughter's named after the place that we lived in Canada, because it's such a big part of mine and my wife's lives that, it kind of means a lot to us.
That's lovely. Let's get back to obviously why you're different from other accountants, and I think we have talked about this a bit on the podcast already, but just to kind of flesh it out a bit, not all accountants are the same, are they?
No, I think to kind of go into that, I mean, yes, we like to pride ourselves on being different, but there's a lot of different accountants out there, and I think the biggest thing is we're different in the way that we make sure we're working with people that we can give the service that they need, rather than just, you know, we don't just do your tax returns. We get involved. We like to be quite passionate about what we're doing, and we like to get passionate about our client's business. We don't just sit there and run the numbers to see how much money they can make and how much tax they have to pay and how they make more profit. We look at other things like, you know, a client might come to us and say, I want to work 4 days a week, you know, and we work with them with plans and come up with that, how they can get to that point. I mean, that's kind of what we work towards. So, you know, we've got that experience. You go to a lot of these bigger accountants, I don't want to bash anyone because they're all great, but a lot of the time the people that are dealing with your accounts, they're not business owners. They don't know that struggle and what you're going through. They just know the numbers.
There's a situation recently with one of Trav's clients where there was issues going on, and then we'd like, I'm going to come out of it all. And I said to Trav, let me talk to them. Now we're developing their business, having a meeting and discussing how, because they've got a good business, not to walk away because you've got consumed by a few issues. Let's look at each issue and how we deal with it. So we're proactive, you know, and it's hard to say because a lot of accountants say they're different. But we are different. You know, I was with a client only yesterday, and they said to me that if they'd not, because their previous accountant was not very good, and they had issues, and they said if you'd not come along, we wouldn't be in business now. And that was said to me only yesterday.
Wow.
So if we hear something's not quite going right, we'll step in and say, are you okay? You know, check in with them, make sure everything's all right. Because at the end of the day, if they don't grow, we lose a client, you know.
I mean, we had it with that client you mentioned the other week. I mean, I had a phone call with the director after we'd kind of gone through a few things. We're still working quite actively with them. But about a month ago, we had the phone call with, I can't do this anymore. I'm struggling mentally. Like, there's so many issues. I'm just going to sell it. I'm done. And I had a phone call with him last week, and one of the comments, they turned around and said, for the first time in a couple of years, I'm really excited to run this business again. And I think that was like the biggest thing. It's like just being able to help people get that excitement back in some way and take control of their business rather than be run by it is quite rewarding.
And business, you know, when you first start your business, you have such dreams and positivity and such high hopes, and then once you get bogged down in all of the stress and the numbers and the compliance and first Gazette strike off notices from Companies House because you haven't stayed on top of the little things that you have to do, it just becomes a nightmare. And I think this is what a good accountant can do. It can just delete all of that stress and help you just focus on the stuff that you enjoy doing about the business and not worrying about all of the the headaches.
I mean, the thing is, what people don't realise is there's no test to become a business owner, right? You can go to Companies House tomorrow and register a company for a small fee, and then suddenly you're thrusted into this world of all this compliance that you've got to keep up with. You've got confirmation statements, you've got your accounts, you've got your tax returns, you might have ICO fees, all of these little things that otherwise people don't know unless you've run a business or you know finance and accounting.
Well, you just forget though, because you're not looking at Companies House every day to see when your confirmation statement is due, and if they don't send you an email, it's so easy to forget, honestly. And
that's where at a certain point you wear so many heads when you start up, and that's where you get to an explosive point. You can't deal with it, the stress of just doing your financial bookkeeping, and you've got to think you've got to get somebody that knows what they're doing to do it and support you, because you can do what you're good at.
Why get stressed out about something when you can afford to get help with it, and we can take away that stress. And I think that's a big thing.
Part of it. Happy days. That's what so many times conversations I have with people, they'll go, "Yeah, happy days." That's my business. It's my business. Yeah. So many times people say happy days because they're happy with what's happened, and it makes you happy. One
thing that was mentioned to me from a client a while ago is that they were so scared to reach out to an accountant. I think that's part of it. Everyone has this image of an accountant in their mind, that they're this kind of big beast, serious thing to deal with. And I remember coming off of a meeting, and like the sort of intro meeting with her, and she said, "I'm so glad I called you, because I was so scared and you were just so easy to talk to, and you made me feel really relieved from the get-go." I think that's another way that I'd like to say we're different, in that we are quite, what you see is what you get. We are who we are. We're normal people. We're not going to be some big scary accountant.
And you're not going to be judgy.
No. I mean, we don't judge. That's pretty easy. We don't.
Some people sort of feel when you're asking a question, it's very personal. It's your business. To us, it's not personal. We don't care what you bought. We just need to know where it's going, how it's allocating it, and everything. So we're not judging you. And yet you often get a whole story of why they've spent this receipt and where it's gone to, and why I've done this and why I've done that. It's like, it's your business. It's you run it how we do it, and we're just making sure we get it right for you. That's all.
Yeah, but I think it's nice to feel accountable. Somehow.
Definitely being accountable for it. But sometimes, we can find something, say, "Oh, you shouldn't really be claiming for that." But then we might find something by conversation with people. Massive. I love communication. You find out and say, "Well, have you claimed for that? You realise you can put this in. Can you put that in?" And so it works both ways. Pros and cons. You might take something for them, but we might give you something back.
We're noticing things to have a conversation about, and we have a discussion about these transactions, and we're all for that discussion because that helps us do our job. But we don't judge people's transactions. I mean, I don't care that you need to buy the best coffee for the office because all of the staff will only drink that coffee. But all we need to know is it's coffee for the office sort of thing.
I'm not judging you at all. So.
But you'd like some of the coffee when you go around.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the part of the job, isn't it?
So if you're listening to this and you're with an accountant, but you're like it's a dysfunctional relationship and you want to change, is it easy to move from one accountant to another? How's it work?
It's as easy as changing your mobiles or your utility bills, because we do it all for you. It's the hardest bit is for you to make that decision and choose a new accountant. I would say shop around. You've got compare websites, but you don't have that for an accountant. Shop around and take a bit of time to talk to them and see who fits with you. We don't fit with everybody, and nobody fits with us. Find that one, and then you literally tell your accountant you're moving on. They'll send off a professional clearance letter, and it's all done for you.
Yeah, switching is super easy. I'm pretty sure I had more of a headache switching my utilities a couple of months ago than I would have dealing with switching other new clients over. So.
It's when you cancel your phone contract and you have to speak to someone on the phone, and then they put you through to their client retention department where they just beg you not to leave them and offer you all sorts of offers.
They throw 50 offers at you on the phone. Yeah.
It's like the thing with Sky. If you want to get a great deal on Sky, tell them you're leaving, and then you get 6 months at half price or something.
Yeah, but I'm afraid you might not get that with accountants. They might say, "Okay, we'll see you later." But by all means, save money on Sky, definitely. We're quite proud in our people we work with. I'm huge into things like motorbikes and mountain biking and rock climbing and all these things. And some of my clients that I work with are in those industries, so I've got a passion behind it and can really drive and get involved with their business to help build it. And I think finding that relationship helps from both ends. So yeah, really don't just settle because someone can do your numbers. Really look for someone that resonates with you personally, professionally, everything. So you've got a relationship for life then, and you know they're always going to be doing everything for you that they can.
And you're easy to get hold of. How can people contact you?
We've got a website, we've got a telephone number, so happydaysmk.co.uk.
Yeah.
Telephone 01908 010 363, and we'll be there at the end. Say email us or contact, and then we'll have a chat, understanding your businesses, understanding what we do. And obviously somebody was too scared and didn't know what to ask, don't be scared, walk away. I had somebody back in July I met, and then I was at a meeting, when was it? September, and dived for me and said, I need your card, you're the accountant for me. And I just chatted to her before, you know, and she obviously felt that I was the right person for them.
I mean, we like to do a lot of work with charities and CICs and CIOs, which is generally there's not many accountants out there that kind of get involved with that stuff because of the additional complexities, and often there might not be as much money in those sort of sectors as in private. Obviously, as we've said, it's not all about the money for us, so we really love working with that. So maybe have a look if there's someone as well that's a specialist in your industry. That might be a good start to at least reach out to someone.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm looking forward to the next episode where we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into the world of accounting. But thank you very much to the team from Happy Days Accounting, Lorraine and Travus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you very much for listening.